Howdy, everybody. It's Podcast Unlocked. This is the episode you've been waiting for. It's episode 218. It's not the number that you care about or the date, October 28th, 2015, but the fact that Halo 5 Guardians is out. We've finished it. Our review is up. It is a bit of a divisive game, at least on the campaign front. We're all pretty united on the multiplayer, which we'll get to, but this is it. So this is we're going to spend the first half or more of the show full Halo spoilers. This is your spoiler warning. Fast forward to whatever I put in the show notes.
On IGN.com.
Or it'll be in the iTunes description too.
That too.
To avoid spoilers.
To avoid, we'll have a little more show. There's a few other things to get to, but we're going to spend a lot of time talking through exactly what we thought of Halo 5 multiplayer, or Halo 5 in general, more specifically the campaign, because
I tweeted,
when the review embargo lifted on Sunday night / Monday morning at midnight, we put up our review in progress by Brian Albert, who did a great job on it. He was a little gentler on the camp. I really didn't like the campaign, and I tweeted as such, and predictably got a lot of unpleasant tweets. But people hadn't played the game yet, but they were surprised. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You gave Halo 4 a 9.8. Like, I love that game. Still do. Still defend that score.
Got a great campaign.
I think. So, and now I'm starting to see the tweets come in now that people are finishing the game. Like, oh yeah,
maybe I overreacted a little bit.
But
on the internet,
come on.
no.
Yeah. Let's start with Halo 5, the campaign. Let's start with multiplayer. We're gonna start with the absolute best thing about Halo 5. I want to talk about the amazeballs multiplayer in this video game. In my opinion, guys, the best Halo multiplayer since 2. I know a lot of Halo 3 fans are gonna freak out when I say that. I think this is the best Halo multiplayer since 2.
I think that this is the best Halo multiplayer. I think this outdoes Halo 2.
Wow.
I think going back to
now
Halo
I'm calling you crazy. Sorry.
Going back to Halo 2 and Anniversary, I was like, man, this is like the level design is basically perfect. These maps are incredible. Dual wielding is a lot of fun in this game. But mechanically, I think the improvements in Halo 5 with the thrusting, the mantling, all of that stuff really, really makes for a more interesting multiplayer experience. Plus, there is a greater variety of excellent weapons.
Yeah.
All of which, kind of just contributes to a really incredible feeling game. I think the level design in Halo 5's maps isn't perfect. I think I can't name any of them. I don't know any of them off by heart.
That round ship level. But we've only had it for a little bit of time.
It is very early, and maybe something will cement itself in my mind later. Actually, I lied. Plaza is awesome. I really love
that's
Plaza.
a great map. Plaza's a great map. The rig too is the other probably early standout for me. I love that it's got a bottomless pit in the middle of it. That if you're not careful,
So I found out that there's a secret, not secret. You can see it if you're looking, but there's a ramp down there that allows you to not fall into that pit.
So it's like if you start falling, you can just thrust to the side and catch yourself on the lip.
And that's what happened. Is I did it by accident yesterday. I was playing SWAT and someone shot at me, and I jumped over to where the active camo normally is, and I missed the platform.
You overshot it,
and I was like, no, and I just thrusted backwards and landed on the platform, and was like,
I'm good.
I'm alive.
Hey, there's a ramp here. And then I looked around and I was like, it goes over there, and I ran over. It's pretty cool.
So, Destin, you've played a little bit of multiplayer so far, right?
Yeah, not very good at it. Full disclosure. I'm kind of getting used to it. It's very different from any of the other Halos. Going back and playing 2 during the anniversary, it's like this feels really, really slow, and Halo 5 is very fast-paced, very fast-paced. And I'm kind of getting used to how ghosts aren't like invulnerable anymore. Like you're not invincible pretty much.
And I got my Scorpion killed in a game last night, a Warzone game last night, by a ghost.
Go figure.
What? Vehicles are not the be all end all.
No. I was playing Warzone and I got a score. I saved up my points. I grabbed a Scorpion. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go wreck some shop. We're gonna make some progress for our team here. A dude in a Banshee wrecked me. It's just because you're so slow in the Scorpion by design. The Banshee just floating around, just shoot me. And I didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just dead. But Mitch, I mean, I definitely agree with you on the movement front. The Spartan abilities, the thruster stuff, the ground pound, all that is just phenomenal. And really, it's a great, I think, evolution. I think it evolves Halo 2 specifically, because Halo 3 sort of started going down the road with the power-ups, the equipment.
Oh yeah,
the
right.
deployable
the
equipment.
bubble shield and stuff like
So
that.
it wasn't an even playing field,
Right.
right? That's where and then of course Reach, they went further down that road. 4 continued down that road as well, and 5 I think goes back to 2, and continues off of evolves off of that specifically.
Yeah, it seems pretty clear they looked at Halo 2 and said like, what if we did this?
Yeah.
and then like built on it.
Everybody's really balanced. Like nobody has an edge with their
Yeah.
default
And
abilities.
and while maybe in time I'll come to agree with you on 5 being the best Halo multiplayer ever, for now, I admit it's still very early, but for now, it's for the Halo 2, the fact that they're by the end of that game, by the end of that whole product cycle, there were 23 maps, of which like 20 of them weren't just good but amazing.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not, Halo 5's maps seem good so far, but we mentioned a couple of good ones, but I just don't think they're across the board like legendary maps
Right.
yet.
Nothing. There is no lockout. There is no
No.
midship.
No.
But
my favorite
they're all
one's
really
the,
good.
the blue one from the beta, where it's like
Empire.
Empire.
Yeah,
Eden.
Oh, man,
Yeah,
I really
I
don't.
really
both
like
of
that
them.
one.
I like
Both
of them.
variants
Yeah.
are cool. Yeah, they're and they play differently enough. So let's go ahead, Sean. You're about to,
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I think it's too early to call Halo 5 the best multiplayer yet, and it's too difficult to say that Halo 2 is the best multiplayer for me because they're all just like products of the time that we played them in. Like,
course.
to
True.
a lot of people, GoldenEye is the best multiplayer game of all time
Right.
because they remember playing it when they were kids. Of
course.
And your memory of that is not at all representative
like, have
of
you
what
played
that
it
game
now?
is.
Like, it's crazy. And I went back and played a lot of Halo 2 and Halo 3 multiplayer in the Master Chief Collection, and honestly, both of them they're slow. Like, they're pretty slow. I think that the movement abilities, while people criticize Halo 5, at least I've seen tweets that are like, it's just Halo of Duty, like Call of Duty. Like, it's Advanced
Disagree.
Warfare. And I'm like,
Nope.
Why? Because you
Disagree.
can boost? Like, that's the only... It's not the same at all. Like, the movement is very, very... It's much faster than it used to be. It's a lot more fast-paced. You're sprinting around. Maps, as a result, are a lot bigger and more complex.
Yeah.
and I like that. Like I've found, like when I play SWAT now, which I love
SWAT is phenomenal.
SWAT so
Cannot
much.
get
Yeah.
enough.
First of all, I
felt so
love that
good.
they divided it into battle rifles only or magnums only, just like straight level playing field.
Yep.
I mean, great that I did have fun in previous Halos, switch to the pistol and just catch some people off guard. But I like that it's totally even playing field. But like I find that in Arena, I'll sprint and I'll all over the place. Warzone especially because the maps are huge. But I find that my strategy has to change with SWAT because like I
definitely.
don't want to sprint because then it takes me an
can't
extra
be-
second to stop and pop.
And you can't be so careless, too. You're running around, and there's people who are looking at the sight lines. You cross. All it takes is one shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
You don't have a shield to protect you. You can't take a shot or two while crossing a sight line. You'll just get headshot instantly.
It's not likely you're going to be doing like the ground slide thing, like I
Yeah.
thought I could, without
Yeah.
just getting punished for it.
Like, in the rare times that I don't get insta headshot, I instantly boost to avoid getting insta headshot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, honestly, like so far, I've put about 20 hours into the multiplayer already. I placed in Diamond, which was cool.
Look at you.
Yeah, I'm running with my crew. I'm pretty hardcore about Halo. This is the thing, is like, it's almost too hardcore. Like, I play it, I get really angry, and I get like,
Yeah.
I was like that in Halo
You're
2.
me when I played Dota.
Yeah, like when I'm, when I, even these are the people that I play a lot of Destiny with. They're my friends. We play, I play Destiny a lot too, but it's much more casual. And I'm like, if people are dying or doing stupid stuff, I'm like, whatever. But if like I die and
Now
my
you're like,
buddy's
"Get
like
it
baiting me,
together."
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, back me up, man. Throw a grenade. Like, he's right behind you.
That's
And, like,
especially frustrating in Breakout because it is such a great, smart, focused competitive mode that
Yeah.
like when someone's down and they're out, like that person feels bad because
Yeah.
they know they goofed, like they were in a bad spot, they got
Well,
cocky, they were going for a weapon, they couldn't make it.
And even on the stream yesterday, me and Mitch were like, what is this Green Otter guy doing? And then round after round, this Green Otter guy was the last one
The
alive
only one
and
alive.
like saving our team. And we were like,
He's like,
That
got the
guy's-
flag,
yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
running back.
And you're like, wait, what is that Green Otter guy
wait a
doing?
second.
Because
we were
it's
like,
working.
Yeah, eventually we were like, he's making. At first we thought he was making all the wrong decisions, and then it turns out he like won it for our team.
God tier, God tier.
But yeah, I mean, it focuses much more on like the competitive. I think that's my overall criticism of Halo is like you can tell it's a very multiplayer focused game. Like the multiplayer is great. In fact, it's superb, I would say, and it kind of falters in the other aspects of the game.
Well,
which
we'll
I'm
get
sure
to
we'll
that.
talk about.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I like that you brought up Breakout because for me, I like Breakout. I don't love it, but I hardly dislike. There's nothing in Halo multiplayer that I dislike, but I find that I like that Arena has a very different feel, and you can just be in a different mood for it than for Breakout and for Warzone. Like it sort of occupies its own niche. It's like half SWAT and half Team Slayer, right? 'Cause you have multiple weapons, but you also have it's like SWAT style where you don't have shields.
It's also fully Counter-Strike. No respawn, objective.
Right,
In the middle
no
that both teams are going
respawns.
for.
And it's funny they added since the beta they added the flags in there. And when we were recently, we were at a preview event with 343. I was like, what's the point of this flag? Because you just kill the other team. You don't worry about the flag. But then they made a great point. If you do get that guy that just likes to hide back and just try to be the last guy alive and let everyone else kill each other, or run out the clock so that it ties, the other team can just okay, if you're gonna hide, we'll just grab your flag, take it back, and win. So,
I agree.
We got screwed about that a couple times on the stream too. Like, we were we're trying to find the guys. We're gonna go get the kill. We lost. They got the flag. Crap.
I like the idea of a flag mechanic. I wish it had been implemented a little bit differently, and this just comes back to the way I play Counter-Strike, or the way Counter-Strike is played competitively, which is like if someone in Breakout, if someone takes the flag, there's no opportunity. Like you kill him, but there's no opportunity to return it, or if he's taking it, kill him and then take it back to yours. Like there's no opportunity. Like where in Counter-Strike, if the terrorists plant the bomb, there's 45 seconds where the CTs have to defuse the bomb. Like it forces them to come and work
it
towards
changes
it
the
back.
pace. It changes the tone. Everything. Gets
Basically, what I'm saying is, I wish it
crazy.
had, instead of a flag, it had been a bomb. And
straight up just do Counter-Strike if you're going to do it.
Or Halo 2 had Assault, remember, which was virtually the same thing.
Basically, if there's one person who's hiding in a corner or something like that, force him with some mechanic to draw out and confront the other team. But give him an opportunity to actually win it. Because that's the thing is, like, if it's 2v1 or 3v1 and that team has the flag and it's 3v1, there's no way that dude's going to win. Like, unless he's, Ogre 2 or something. But
let's talk let's spend a few minutes now on what has quickly become, with all due respect to Arena, which is great, but probably the favorite of Halo 5 multiplayer, the one that I'm seeing a lot of people talk about. Like, holy cow, this is really good. And that is Warzone, which Mitch started to touch on. Mitch, tell me why you like Warzone so much.
Warzone is really good because it mixes a lot of my favorite elements of other games into a very big Halo. Like, obviously the big talk coming into it was it's got a lot of MOBA stuff, and I think that's a little overblown. It's not super MOBA influenced, but there's enough where it's like, yes, it's great that there are like neutrals that you can take down that are worth taking down because it gives your team victory points.
Yes.
Your base is defended by basically creeps. That stuff is super useful and super interesting, especially because Marines will kill you.
Yeah,
they're not jokers.
They're Halo AI cranked up usually.
Yeah. So it's probably the biggest and most varied of Halo's multiplayer, I think, because your attention is constantly drawn in different directions, and everything you need to do is valuable, but you have to kind of focus on where do I and my fire team want to go? Where do we want to focus on? How do we want to get points? Do we want to go get kills in the enemy base and take it over? Do we want to choke them out and then take down their core to instantly win? Do we want to go focus on neutrals because we're a little bit behind? It's a lot to think about, and it's the most, I think, intensely competitive mode in Halo 5, even more than Arena, I think, just because there's so much more options to win that it is more challenging for a competitive team to actually come out on top.
So I like Warzone, but I'm not in love with it. A lot of people are really, really loving Warzone. I think it's just good. For me, the matches are very, very long. I think the matches we were playing is
they're
at
20
least
to 30
minutes.
No, they max out at 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. But it's a lot of just gathering points and capturing bases and holding them, and it takes too long to reach an ending, and there's no way to really speed it up quickly because of the way the enemies spawn in.
But then you've got other modes if you want a quicker game, though.
Yeah, I know that. I'm saying I don't like Warzone because it's too long. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. it's just not for me. You know, I don't like that 30 minutes slowly gathering points mode. I would
It
rather
can
hop,
go on for a long time.
Yeah. I would rather hop into something like SWAT. I'm not saying it's a bad
Sure.
mode. I don't want anybody
Yeah, I mean,
to,
you're the kind of person when you log
Yeah.
into Halo, like you want to play as many games as possible and just like gimme.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to play like 1 or 2 matches, sign off, or I want to stay out all night and play like team-based games or SWAT.
I
That's
can
fair.
Yeah.
totally see why people like it. It's a really great change of pace. For me, it's not Halo. You know, like
It's different. It's a MOBA.
to me, yeah. Well,
That's
yeah,
what I see it as.
Yeah, to me, well, in a
I mean, it's
way,
a different.
Yeah.
It's very different design philosophies, and then they just kind of like drop Halo 5 in the middle of it, and they're like, "How does it work?" Pretty well, right? Turns out,
Yeah,
it's
no,
cool,
and
but
that's
I
the
agree.
thing
It's
is, like,
not what you expect from Halo at all.
Yeah, and I mean, just me personally, like so much of my Halo history has been 4v4 Team Slayer. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like no oddball, no assault, no any of the other modes. Or I mean CTF obviously, but that's it. So like, just as someone who's a creature of habit and I like the things that I like and I like to stick to them because I know they're good, I don't generally like to step out of bounds when it comes to things.
You're missing
like
out.
That.
You're on
Well, so that's the thing is,
oddball
like,
and
I mean, I've played those
Warzone.
modes and stuff, like, and a lot of them are fun. Like, I loved Rocket Race and, Griffball and Juggernaut from the old Halos
Rocket
and
Race
stuff.
was so great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I forgot about that.
But
They're
I
fun once in a while, but
yeah,
not
that's
something
the
you
thing
want
is
to play exclusively.
I only look at it as a nice change of pace. Like, if I'm getting bored or too frustrated with Arena or my team is, like, I'm angry at my team or they're angry at me because we suck, then, yeah, let's jump into some Warzone because at least then I can just turn off my brain and we could talk about
Right.
something else and just do stuff.
And here's, I think, big reason why I like Warzone. Not only is it well done, but again, it's if you look at Halo 5 multiplayer on a micro level, it's phenomenal because, Arena's great, Breakout's excellent, Warzone's fantastic, and then you look at it again as on a macro level, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, just like Arena has a very different feel, and you're in a different mood for it than Breakout. Then it's the same thing. Warzone, just like there's nothing that overlaps where it's just like
These modes could be similar.
right
Yeah.
that you could never confuse them, but yet they're all still Halo.
Totally.
But they're very different experiences.
Yeah. Mhm.
This is Warzone is the 20+ minute, long drawn out. Sort of you kind of have to be. You can freelance a little bit, but it's better if you work with a fire team.
definitely.
Yeah.
But then there's also the more kind of almost meta game that, like, Mitch, I know you were getting into with the rec packs.
Yeah.
Where that sort of changes
I
the
don't
whole.
understand those really, like how that
Destiny,
works.
it's
How
not that hard.
you open them up, but then I have like 5 of a ghost. So like, can I use all those, or do I
Just
just
sell them
them
back.
to buy
Yeah,
everything?
sell them
so
back.
what
So
I did
I'll
last
never,
night-
I'll never like use all my ghosts. Once I
could.
have one, I'm
So
good.
it's basically you have a
it's
deck-
not a consumable. Like once you
Yeah.
have the card, you have the card.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
No,
thought it was.
some of them
yeah.
are consumable.
Yeah, I thought it was
Oh,
you
well,
have
like,
access
some of
to
them are
15
not,
ghosts,
but some of them are.
And after
the
you have summoned
weapons,
15
weapons
ghosts.
and weapons and like vehicles are not consumables. I think.
I thought vehicles
Well,
were.
they are.
Like if you have 10
okay,
warthogs,
maybe I'm not-
I think
See,
after you
it's
summon,
not that clear.
I think
is it?
after you summon 10
Yeah.
warthogs, you no longer have access to the warthog. Like you need to unlock a scorpion tank card to get access to it, and then once you use that card, I think you need to get more scorpion cards to be able to actually summon a scorpion.
So then, do you sell it or do you keep it?
And
you know,
exactly, and that becomes
that's
the
where game
risk,
comes
right?
in,
Like
yeah.
last night, I sold off probably 4,000 points worth of cards, which is a lot because everything is worth 50 or 75
Yeah.
points each. Because I was like, well, like the Needler is really good, but it's just not what I'm going to be using in this multiplayer mode. So I sold all of them except one. So it's like if I need to break glass in case of emergency, I have that Needler.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to get more later. But I
Weird.
don't need 40 mongooses. Mongeese?
Mongoose.
Mangoose. So I got rid of most of those, and it gave me more points to buy more packs to get better weapons. And
By the
more
way,
skins and
real
cool stuff.
quick, you mentioned the Needler. I was playing just free for all in the arena. Don't sleep on the Needler in Halo
really
5 multiplayer.
good.
Yeah.
A dude's like shooting at me. I don't even know, assault rifle, whatever he had, and if you just keep that reticle trained on him,
He's done.
you just unload that trigger, and then you just kind of move away, and then you wait for it. Boom, he's dead. The Needler will and there's enough ammo to take out 2, maybe 3 guys with it. It is pretty potent in Halo 5.
Yeah, if you fight an enemy who doesn't have the ability to move laterally, like if he's in a corridor or something, yeah, it can be really devastating. Otherwise, they can be kind of easy to dodge.
Especially with the thrust.
Yeah.
Thrust is a really great counter to
Oh, and if you're not using thrust like all the time,
my God,
yeah,
You got to
need
train
to.
retrain
Yeah.
your brain. You've been playing
And like
Halo
jumping
for
and hovering.
yeah.
It's been what 12, 13 years of Halo without 14 years of Halo.
The thrust is so infinitely useful. Like I'm the player who I'm even just when I'm running around the map, not fighting, but like looking for people, I'm jumping just because I have ADD. I'm like I have to be pressing buttons. But now like, I'll be sprinting and then I'll boost around a corner, or like I'll jump off a ledge and then boost underneath it to the lower platform. Like the amount of like sort of variation it gives you in your movement just makes for it's way fun to use, and then it also actually makes you much more dangerous.
Now,
to
Sean,
fight.
Mr. Serious Halo multiplayer guy,
Yeah.
have you managed to pull off the move yet? And I think I've done this once in the beta, but
Mm-hmm.
not since the retail final game came out. Have you done the baller move yet, where a dude is chasing you, you jump up, thrust behind him, land, and then assassinate him?
So I haven't assassinated him yet, but I do that all the time. It's like if I know someone's behind me, I'll jump and thrust over them, or like
Yeah.
if they,
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to be. You can boost in any direction.
Jump,
Yeah.
thrust, ground pound. Could you get that done?
There's not enough time.
Yeah. There's no time.
So then the last,
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Dustin.
I want to be positive about Warzone for a second. There is one thing I really like. Let's say I know there's a base and everybody's fighting over there, and I'm just like, I'm not going to be able to contribute there. I do have that option of going and fighting the
Yeah,
AI
you can
opponents.
go contribute
It
to your
is-
team.
If
Yeah,
you-
I
it is
really
a-
like that because like everybody can have a little part.
It is
Yes.
a mode that actually, like, if you're running a full. Have any of you guys run a full 12 yet for Warzone?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was running a full 12. Every single one of us was
Mm-hmm.
in the party and in the game, and we just rolled people all day long. Like it is a mode that like you benefit a lot from having great communication. And
Right, like being able to
teamwork,
say,
which
like,
is
I'm in
awesome.
West Armory, but
Yeah.
the spire is being taken. Somebody go back.
I
Yeah, and there's
3
time
people
to
go, "We
react
got
too.
it."
It's like, okay, well, you have one person who's defending your core, and then you lose all the bases, and you're like, hey, they're coming to the core, and it's like your teammate has time to walk over there and like help you guys out. Like you dying isn't the end of the game.
I don't know why this thought just occurred to me. Maybe this is super obvious to everyone else, and I'm just late to the party. But I just realized that Halo has driven features on the console for a long time because it's the big game on the system. Did Party Chat just get up to 12 players specifically for Warzone?
guaranteed.
Released it a little while
Yeah, it was
ago.
a while ago.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
definitely
It was
in
for Halo.
preparation
It was
for
for
Halo.
sure.
Like, I don't
Yep.
know why that just like
Yeah.
I'll bet it was specifically for Halo.
We noticed it. I noticed it like maybe a month or two ago when all of a sudden like we were playing Destiny and we had like 12 or 13 people in the party, and I was like, has
Well,
it
it's 12.
always been like this? I mean, it was more than like the original.
Yeah,
6.
more than 8.
Yeah.
Well,
8
I
what
guess
it
on
was.
Xbox One, it started.
It was like a month ago, Ryan.
Yeah, it was
when they
recent.
added it.
I don't
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
it is. Max 12. Do we know?
It
that?
is. Yeah, they just
Party Chat?
Yes, it's 12 now.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
mean, we noticed that a while ago, but it's an interesting change, and that is, yeah, I'm sure they were forward thinking about Halo.
So
in that regard.
the fact that we didn't talk about this at all probably is a good thing. But has anybody noticed any like latency or?
Well, no, that's a
you
great.
know,
I wanted to
yeah.
bring that
Me
up.
and-
a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. It's been like 99%
I haven't had a
incredible.
problem. Yeah.
Matchmaking's super fast.
Yeah.
Performance, by and large, on the servers has been great. Yesterday, Sean and I had a little bit of lag.
Yeah.
Where we were like a little bit jumping around. And then last night when we were playing, I played with James Faulkner from IGN. And we were playing Breakout. And I thought, like, man, I am laying into this dude with an SMG at point blank range. And his shields aren't even popping. Or like, in a basic arena.
I haven't had a single.
Yeah.
Everything's been.
I was going to
butter for
say,
me.
on my end, I haven't noticed any. Like, so we got a bunch of questions about the stability of the servers while we were on
and
stream.
we were super positive about it. 'cause
Yeah, and I
it's
mean,
a
that's the
super
thing is I
positive
haven't
experience.
noticed any issues at all. I think, like,
I had one experience with you the first night where we were playing Warzone and we were at like 750 points, and all of a sudden I just got kicked back to the menu.
oh.
And I was just sitting there, and it's like attempting to rejoin, and it never rejoined. So I'm like,
Yeah, but
I
that's just because
guess
you live
I'm
in the
out.
boonies and have 56K.
No, I have really good internet. You probably have a worse connection
But-
than I do.
I have good internet.
But by and large, this was. We talked about it many times on the show leading up to this. The Master Chief Collection online problems really
Yeah, they're gone.
damaged the brand.
They
and
had to get Halo 5 right.
Exactly.
Yeah. They
it was, and they absolutely did.
Yeah,
and I
I
know,
think so.
I tweeted that. I put that out there. I said, hey, we all moan and complain when big games with multiplayer launch in busted states. So how about we, let's all take a minute to salute 343 and Microsoft for getting Halo 5 right.
Absolutely.
And I got a handful, most everybody totally agreed with it, got a lot of retweets, etc. But a handful of people were like, why should we? That's how it's supposed to be. Well, yes, but in the real world, like look around you at how many bad launches in games there have been.
Also,
the whole reason we hold our review score is because there's been so many bad
Let's
launches.
reinforce the good and say, good job 343
Totally.
and Microsoft for nailing this, because
And they really did.
it's quick to get into a game with matchmaking. The partying up is easy. Everything just works exactly as it's supposed to work. and
Also,
it's
the people
great.
who are less than thankful about things like that are, one, I think they're cynical. Like, yeah, I mean, maybe technically, in an ideal world,
Yeah, they're
things
not
should
wrong.
release
Yeah, they're not
the
wrong,
right way. But these games are hard. Like, it's hard to get millions and millions of people across the world networked well, and it's not an easy thing to do. So give them credit where credit's due.
Yeah, and
Be
then
a pal.
the last thing I wanted to point out on the topic of multiplayer is, we've just got done talking about how this is our favorite multiplayer since at least 2, if not ever. And what's awesome is not only, yes, we have a lot of free maps coming, like 20 of them or 18 of them, however many it is, but there's still 2 major components of Halo 5 multiplayer that we'll be getting for free coming up soon-ish, and that's Big Team Battle, complete with its own set of Big Team Battle specific maps, so bigger than Arena, smaller than Warzone maps, and Forge, which they've shown off in a video, and it has been
looks good.
It has been
So
stepped
excited
way
for
up
that.
since
Me
last
and Mitch
gen.
talked about it a lot on the stream. It is a different Forge than you remember. It's all the customizability and options and sort of creativeness that you can do when designing levels and maps and environments and modes. But it's actually way easier to source items, and it's more like, it's just way more intuitive. So
I cannot wait until all the old maps are rebuilt in Forge. People are going to do that.
Well,
for
me and
sure.
Mitch
They're going
were
to
talking
rebuild their
about, like,
favorites.
I want people. They'll rebuild the favorites, but I think people will want to build their own Warzone maps.
Oh yeah,
Like, I think that would be
it'll be a big project, but it could be some good
well, we were
stuff.
saying it would be great if you made at minute 1, the first NPC to spawn was worth 9,999 points, and you make it just this insanely powerful single entity that everyone convenes to fight.
Right.
And
Just
it would
like
be
a big
chaos.
boss
It's like
fight.
the least balanced
Yeah.
thing in the world, right? Because ultimately it's not about damage; it's about the last hit.
Yeah.
and that person's gonna win.
Yeah.
But people are going to focus on that because you're not going to go capture control points instead because
No,
they're going to win
that's
if they kill it.
999 points. Like, you can win right there with killing them once. But yeah, I think people are going to get really creative with modes like that, and you'll get a Griff Ball, or you'll get like a Juggernaut, or you get modes that become classic Halo when people are given the ability to use something like the Forge. It's a
actually-
powerful tool.
It's really disappointing to me that those Forge maps are actually in the game right now because they're really bad. By themselves, those maps are not good. They look bad. They
knows?
look unfinished. They are structured in a way that's meant to be modified, which means they're not fun to play in right now. I really don't like those 2 maps.
One of them, I can't remember now.
One
I
of
can't
them-
keep them straight.
Osiris
the
is
one
one
with
with
the
the-
giant stair, like the one that's like just a big staircase, basically going up to.
Oh, I didn't play that one.
I can't remember if it's one's Pegasus and one's Orion. They were in the beta.
That's what I was
One of
thinking.
them
It's
I
gotta be Pegasus.
super don't like, but then the other one that has sort of a rocky area off to one side.
Oh yeah, I think that's
That's the one I played SWAT on.
Orion.
Yeah,
Maybe
that one
Osiris
that
is
one I'm
as well.
okay with, but yeah, then the other one that's just like
I remember liking both.
didn't like it anyway.
Yeah.
So
They
yeah,
don't-
this
they could be better.
great stuff with Halo 5 multiplayer. I mean, that's a big reason why the game got a 9 from IGN, is because the multiplayer is that a 9 by IGN's definition is
Amazing.
not only amazing, but means, or I should say, the editor's choice designation for IGN is a game we would recommend to anyone. And because of multiplayer, we totally recommend it to anyone. Let's move on now. So we've been super positive. Now let's ease into
Let's bring it down a little.
let's ease into our issues with Halo 5, and they stem largely with the campaign specifically. And I'm going to go to my boy Destin.
Yeah,
who's-
hi everybody.
Can I just say, Destin was right.
Oh,
Hashtag Destin was right.
Wow.
So Agent Locke, Spartan
Yeah.
Locke. Let's focus on him specifically, because a lot of my issues, and I think we're in general agreement in this room, a lot of our issues with Halo 5's campaign. Again, I'll say it. For me, it's the weakest Halo campaign in the series. Now, to clarify, I'm not calling it a bad game. I'm calling it a bad Halo campaign.
Yes.
And that means Halo has set its bar up here in 10 land, because that's what Halo campaigns have pretty much always been, specifically for me, with the exception of, Reach is the other one that I haven't liked. I think it's not a bad game. It's not a bad campaign. But I don't think it's a good Halo game. Spartan Locke is sort of the central figure, and a lot of the issues with the campaign revolve around him.
Yeah, he's really disappointing. Like, based on the marketing, Mitch wrote a great article about this. Based on the marketing, you think like he's going to have a real motivation for going after Chief. Like, Chief's going to do something that really crosses the line.
And there's animosity, meaning like this is an angry man who is kind of fueled by a certain kind of rage or a certain kind of duty that goes beyond following orders.
Yeah,
like
and
he
this-
wants to protect
In
people
one
by
ad,
taking down Chief.
in a live action ad, he's standing over Chief's body that's covered in rubble, saying,
You were supposed
is
to be
all
the
your
best
fault."
of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they could have done that pretty easily with the story that they set up. Like, they're awakening these guardians, and like Chief could have been triggering that, putting people at danger. None of that ever actually happens, and it's just kind of a, hey, Chief is AWOL, go get him.
"Okay, I'll go
He
get him."
says, okay.
It's like, oh, the dog got out. Could you go
Yeah.
get him? Yeah, no problem.
They fight.
I got it.
They fight, and then they're like, "Oh, I get what Chief's doing. Let's go help him."
That's
super
my big problem.
confusing.
It's like, I agree with Ryan. I think it's the weakest campaign of all the Halos. That said, it's not a poor campaign in terms of design.
no,
I think like it's fun to play.
loved playing this
Yeah,
campaign.
it's still fun to play. Like there's a lot of
Well, I was going to get to that.
That's gameplay.
but-
Oh, okay.
That's
Well, yeah, no, but I
gameplay
mean,
centric. We're talking mostly narrative.
Just I want
We'll
to
get to that. That's
talk
our next
specifically
Got
about
it.
Focus on Locke
Spartan
and
Locke.
Okay,
Yeah.
so specifically about characterization, then I think the one weakest point though of the campaign though is the storytelling. Like
Totally.
not only have previous Halos had like this grand narrative of which you are the center, but now that narrative is split and in a way that's not all that interesting, right? Like
Well, it's split 80-20.
Yeah.
3 of the 15 missions in Halo 5
Are
have,
blue
have you
team.
playing as Master Chief and Blue Team.
Which, frankly, hallelujah, because blue team's kind of bad. Like, I at least enjoy being
yeah,
around
so
certain members of
That's another.
Osiris.
That's a whole other topic
Well,
of disappointment.
I
Because
wanna-
blue
I wanna-
team
we'll
is
get-
super
sorry.
interesting
We
as
are-
characters.
we'll get there.
I
We are
want to
gonna
get
get
to
to the
that. Yeah, I
campaign.
want to focus on Locke and what
Sorry.
what he. Yeah, I'm trying to keep us on track here.
Yeah.
because
So
we
let's-
also have a proper review discussion with our reviewer Brian Albert, where we're going to get into all these other things
I mean,
too.
if you want to talk about the mantle of responsibility, that dude Locke has so much on his shoulders for this entire game that just never amounts to anything. He never does
Yeah.
anything. He never
well that's and that's
accomplishes
kind of
anything.
the problem is
He doesn't
like
change.
there was and I mean again it's marketing so I don't think it's actually valid to criticize the marketing for not being true
Right,
to the game
because
because marketing just for about tone and about
Well-
like setup, right?
and as 343's David Ellis tweeted me correctly, so because I was having a little conversation with Aaron Greenberg on Twitter about it. David Ellis from 343 jumped in and said, "Well, the marketing is successful. We judge marketing success by how many copies of the game it sells."
Yes.
And he's absolutely right. Marketing is there to get you to buy the game.
Yeah.
And
Right.
well done. It
Yes.
probably worked, and it absolutely I believe that
my-
you should play him by
but
yourself.
Marketing
my-
looked great.
Yeah, but my problem with it is that the marketing shouldn't overshadow what actually happens in the game, which it did. Like, I got the sense from the marketing that there was going to be this philosophical debate, like an ideological
Yes.
war
between
between,
these men.
Chief and Locke, right? Like, it gave me the sense that there was going to be some nebulous truth out there about what really happened during these wars, that Chief knew the truth, Locke didn't, or because he was being lied to by Oni, or because
Yeah.
he is an agent of Oni and they're just, they're this kind of like, they're the, the CIA, the FBI, the very kind of secretive part of the UNSC.
Yeah.
And I thought we were going to dive into all this, like, he said, she said, like what actually happened,
Yeah.
how it was
Which
going
is
to
what
play
Hunt the
into
Truth
this.
does.
Yeah, right.
Hunting
so
the
well.
truth
Yeah,
almost.
exactly. Yeah,
Like,
like,
it was clearing
Yeah.
Chief's name, and everybody thinks he's a traitor, but he turns, this is how it actually all
yeah,
went
or
down.
Yeah.
there was going to be this grand narrative of Oni is spinning this truth to get people to believe that he's a traitor, and only Chief knows the truth, Chief and his team, and as Locke was going through the story and kind of unraveling
figures
it,
it
he
out.
finds out the truth and then has to join the chief. That was the narrative I was expecting, and instead, literally none of that happens.
It's
they
go get
confront-
'em.
Yeah. So they confront
yeah.
each other
Whoops.
twice in the whole game. They share 2 scenes.
Yeah.
One, he's
I
like,
can't wait for this. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
he goes, one, Chief, stop. And Chief's like, no.
Nah.
And then they fight a little bit.
My
Yeah.
favorite part of that scene is that Chief, he's John, put your weapons down or whatever, right? And like,
I'm bulletproof, dude. I'm
Yeah.
wearing Mjolnir
Yeah.
armor.
cuts
Yeah.
to Chief, and he like cocks his head 45 degrees and just like nods, and
Yeah,
Blue
and
Team
his
is
team
like,
just like
"Peace,"
ignores
and
him.
they
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah. And then he's
What
like,
a baller move.
he goes, stand out. And then they fight. And here's the other thing: they're like kind of equal in fighting, which
was
is
just gonna- that was gonna
against
be
the
my
lore
point.
entirely.
Yeah.
He's a Spartan too. He's genetically augmented.
He is a
Yeah.
human tank.
He
Yeah.
he has been unethically like captured as a child and had
Bred
hideous
for war.
hideous
Bred for
experiments
war. Yeah.
performed on him so that he is a 7'2" human killing machine.
Yeah.
The Spartan 4s are
Locke
not
has
augmented.
pretty armor.
First of
Yeah.
all, they're presented like Chief would be like literally a head taller than
Yeah.
Locke if this were presented correctly, and he would just pick Locke up and go snap.
Yeah.
Done.
So then,
But
like,
he gets his visor cracked.
yeah,
no
we have
way.
this. We have
Yeah.
this moment where Locke like hits Chief in the face and kind of like cracks his visor.
I really wanted the rest of the game to have this like glaring line down the middle
yeah,
for whoever's
like-
playing Master Chief.
Yeah, it was.
You mean for the
yeah.
one other mission after
So-
that you get to
Yeah.
play as Blue Team?
So that's their first encounter, and again, that encounter is devoid of this whole like I'm here to do a job, and the job is like not betraying, like. Because at that point, he should think that Chief's a traitor, right? Like, so
Yeah.
it should be like, how could you have done this to us? Like, we're on your side. We're
Yeah.
trying to help you. And Chief's like, you don't know the truth. But does any of that happen? No, not at
No.
all.
So even
So-
separate. Sorry, finish.
Yeah, and then real quick, later on, they meet again. This time on a totally random alien planet
Hey, I'm
with
here
a
to
bunch
help
of
you,
guardians.
bro.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you, bro.
Which
cool.
Chief got there because Cortana led him there, but you know how Locke got there? He hitchhiked on a guardian. Like,
Yeah.
he jumped on one, went through a slip
To be
space
fair, that
portal.
scene was awesome.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, this planet that has not seen human life for millions of years has 8 Spartans on it, and they're all just like, "Hey, what's up?" And then
Hey, buddy.
eventually, when Locke gets to where Chief is, he's not like, "Hey, Chief, let's try and fight whatever. Let's not like work out whatever issues we had
Set
before."
aside
He's
our
like,
differences. We have a common goal.
"Hey, what's up, dude? I'm here to help."
Yeah.
He's like totally friendly about it.
Yeah.
And-
Excuse me, sir. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Sorry about before.
Yeah,
sir.
he's giving him the sir all the time, and I'm just
yeah.
like.
Where did that animosity
Like
go?
when you talk
Yeah.
about characterization in storytelling, like characterization is this phrase that storytellers throw around, and it means just like what characters say and do to feel like real people, that
make
they're
them a
dimensional.
person.
Yeah.
Well-
it looks like that to me, and I don't want to be diminutive of the storytelling because it's hard to tell stories in video games more so than in movies because of the way player interaction
interactivity,
works.
yeah.
But the reason for Locke doing any of this stuff doesn't make sense, right? Like it doesn't make
doesn't at all.
sense, or there is no reason. So the same for Chief. That's the other thing is like, it's not just Locke. It falls mostly on Locke because you play him the most, and the kind of story rests on what his agency is in it.
Yeah.
But even Chief isn't that good.
And I'm glad you got here because I wanted to talk about like Halo 5. If you do a close reading, separate from the marketing, you look at Halo 5 in a vacuum. All of the stuff you're saying, I think, is true in that it fails to accomplish anything with any of the characters.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything interesting with them as people in the context of the game.
Yeah.
And I want to build on that too by we're talking about Locke. We get like 2, maybe 3 hints throughout the game of, oh hey, you're Locke. You were that dude who was in Oni.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. Tell me more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they
Nah.
don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Like
not gonna
they-
do that.
They
Yeah.
hint to him as like this hit squad badass.
That's what I was gonna say. Is
and
like
never-
there are very small points where they hint at a backstory that I would have loved to
Yes.
explore and gotten some depth in. Like there's that one scene.
They do it for all the characters.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
There's one scene.
Well, the whole thing's a spoiler. at
Yeah,
this
I know.
point.
I know. I just want to remind
Yeah.
people in case they're coming into the middle of the episode that we're talking about spoilers. So there is one scene where Locke confronts the Arbiter, and the Arbiter knows who he is. And
Yeah,
he's
I'm
like,
glad
there's
you got
a whole,
to this.
There's a whole
he
backstory
questions
there.
he questions him
Yeah.
at front. He's like at first Locke implies that Arbiter's motives may not be pure, and he goes, "That's ironic coming from you."
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like, "Oh, he knows him. Like, he knows he's a spy."
Oh, he's
like,
giving him that
yeah.
sass.
And then, do we
That
ever
Arby
find out
sass.
about why? Nope, not at all. Do we ever find out what it was he did in Oni? Nope, not at all. And then there's one point later on, and this is like
Just that
some
he
of
had the assassination contract.
yeah,
was,
exactly.
yeah.
I swear to
Uh,
God, every scene in that game might as well have faded to black and said, "For more, read the next book."
Yeah. there's one point later on where right before right after Locke and his team have Dr. Halsey back, and she's like, bring John back.
I really want to talk about Halsey and
Yeah.
how
We'll get there.
wasted she
Next
was.
time. Next time.
But there's a moment of dialogue where Buck and Locke are talking, and Buck is awesome.
He's great. Of
Nathan
course.
Fillion's
Nathan
great.
Fillion, of
like
course.
every scene, he does so much with so little in that game. But he has like 2 lines of dialogue where he goes, Locke, like, we're going after the chief. Do you actually believe in this? Because if you do, I'm with you. But everyone will hate us. And I'm just like, hey. This guy is thinking about the consequences of going
What an
after a hero.
amazing moment of
I want to
humanity.
know more about Buck.
Well,
like
that
all of a
stuff is so
sudden, I'm
good.
interested.
Yeah, right.
But are there
That's
any
like-
more of those moments? Nope. Like
So
that's the only
one of
thing
my,
that's in there.
That's one of my favorite things. Like in any story, if you look at those kinds of moments, it's like when you look at the Avengers and it's Coulson talking, like he reveres each of the Avengers differently individually,
Yeah.
and then people like. Everyone talks to him like, oh, how's it going with the cellist? Like he's seeing somebody.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to know. Like you don't need to dig into somebody's history a great deal. But if you can show an ounce of humanity, like that thing with Buck, or when Buck goes like Tanaka, and he like
a word, please.
a word
Yeah.
please,
Yeah.
and he's like
They
They
know
help
each
each
other.
other,
This
yeah.
is going to be hard. Like
Well,
let's do this together.
I'm glad you guys got to this real quick,
yeah.
Destin. Just that, Locke. I think the voice performance is mediocre because he's given. He's just like
Nothing to work with.
he is a by the book Spartan. Yes, sir. I'll go get Master Chief. No problem. Yeah, he's not given anything to work with. The irony is. The rest of Fire Team Osiris is far more interesting. They are far more interesting characters than Locke is.
Olivia Vale's my favorite Spartan
Vale,
in all of
and
Halo.
Tanaka
she's
and
great.
Buck are all more interesting in Halo 5 than Agent Locke is, and that's
And that's what I wanted. Is like you
Confounding.
want to. If here's the thing is, if you want to make a main character, which is I think that was the goal with Locke. What else would it have been, right? To make someone else like kind of forefront of the Halo series,
Yeah.
not just the Chief. You got to tell a great story about him, and we learn nothing about him. There's no characterization of his villainy, right? Like he's positioned as, because we all love the Chief and we know what the Chief's been through. We are the Chief. He's positioned a little bit as a villain, right? But what makes complex villains is when they're doing something that's not just bad because he's like a bad guy, but it's just diametrically opposed.
Yeah.
Like there's just opposition there. There's no explanation for that, and there's no justification for it. Like he's just doing things because people ask him to, and
Yeah.
that doesn't make for someone who's really interesting.
They take a lot of time with Locke building up this whole story of him building a device to to lock up the Spartan's armor. And
then
he
it-
uses it once, screws up, and then they never talk about it again. And they spend a lot of time, like, they show it being built. They show him how it's going to work
that's
with
another
Buck.
great
They
scene.
take it off Buck. He
There is a- Why
fights
doesn't
Chief.
he- why
He
doesn't he just-
freezes. They never use it again.
Well, that's
for any
that's
reason.
another great scene.
Use
is
it
Buck
on
goes,
something else.
hey, so how are we going to catch these guys? Like, ask nicely, because he knows
Yeah.
like they would be bested in combat.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so he can't. They obviously can't fight him, right? And Locke's like, I have this device, and it locks down armor. It locks down armor.
stop it.
It disables their armor entirely. That's how we'll get him. And he's like, oh, okay, great. Guess what? It gets used on him. Like he tries
Yeah.
to use it on Chief, and Chief's like, nope. Boom.
That would
Sticks
have been
it
a
on
great
him.
moment. Like you sneak attack Chief with it. You get a nice dialogue scene. Chief figures out how to disable it. Then they fight.
Or
you
even
know.
like disable it on Locke and bring it up again later. Like that's like putting a pistol in the drawer and not using it in the third act, right?
Yeah.
Like it's used, but not in an interesting way, and then
Yes,
it's just gone.
completely.
Ultimately, like I think that just having Locke in the game and wanting to make a separate character that's separate than Chief, or like different than Chief, but also kind of a main character, I think it just divided their focus too much because they tried like it's just the game is thin, like the campaign is thin, the storytelling's thin, and I think that is a result of just having you have Chief, and then you have Locke, and you have their teams respectively, and then you also have Halsey, and then you have the Arbiter who's also a part of it, and then you have Cortana. Like, there's just too many pieces to this puzzle, and they're all trying to do each one of them justice, and in doing so, do none of them justice.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I'll
Locke is the biggest victim of that.
Yeah.
I will segue out of that. We talked about the good of Halo 5, the multiplayer. We talked about the bad, which is Agent Locke. Let's take a few minutes to talk about the ugly, because this is where everything really breaks down
I really want to talk about Halsey.
with this game. And for me, it's sort of, I think the biggest crime that the campaign commits is that it assumes that you've read every piece of extended universe fiction and you've seen every piece of marketing they've done. And the reality is, for the millions and millions of Halo players out there, Halo fans, every game sells 7, 8, whatever million copies. I would venture to say that I'll bet 5% of those people or less have read any extended universe Halo anything.
Right here in this room, I haven't read any of it.
Yeah.
I don't do
I've
that.
read some of it, and it's still pretty
Yeah, I mean,
not
I've
great.
read Fall of
Yeah.
Reach. I love that book. I think it's a genuinely great sci-fi novel, separate from the fact that it's a Halo thing. Like, don't let that deter you.
And
if you're
there's
worried
the-
about video
the
game
story
novels.
now.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that you can watch.
But that story,
It's not very good.
Regardless
No, I
of
haven't
that
watched it.
story, I went into this and had like no affinity for anybody on Blue Team at all. I was like, oh man, it's Fred, it's Kelly, it's
Linda,
I
yeah.
don't care about
Yeah.
any of you. And Linda's like this badass sniper who I love. And
You don't even know she's a sniper from the game.
Yeah,
She was
they're
actually
all
one of the
just-
better AI players. We didn't talk about that, but
Oh,
yeah,
Destin
well-
has some hilarious clips of the
yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
they're
Good.
just really dumb.
I'm glad that you have that to justify me because
Yeah.
I think the AI is awful.
I'm glad you mentioned Blue Team, Mitch, because we're given nothing on Blue Team, and I go back to the point I made a minute ago about how most Halo fans only have played the games, and over the course of the mainline Halo games, you are led to believe, to assume that Master Chief is the last one.
Yep.
That the rest of them are all dead or just gone. You know, that Chief is it. He is the savior. He's the last one. And then even at the end of Halo 4, you know, he goes back to Infinity. He's standing there with what's his face?
Lasky? was
Lasky, that's
Yeah.
it. Thank you. And he's just like, you know, looking out longingly in the stars, wondering if Cortana's out there. Then when Halo 5 starts, sometime later, here's Blue Team. Here's
Yep.
3 other Spartans that he seems to know really well.
Yeah.
We don't know why, and I kept waiting for it. I'm playing, I'm waiting for it. The one and only thing we ever get on Blue Team in the course of the Halo 5 campaign is on the space elevator mission. It's like around the middle of the game where you're Osiris, of course. There's an 80% chance you're going to be Osiris
At any given
at
point.
any given point. And somebody on Osiris says, "Hey, why did those Blue Team folks trust this Chief guy so
Yeah.
much? Why do they?" And then somebody, Buck
their
or somebody
family.
says, "Well,
Yeah.
they grew up
They grew up
They
together.
grew up
They
together.
trained
They
together.
they trained together. They ran
They've
like the
logged
most
more missions than
yeah,
any
they've
other
logged more
team in
missions.
history,
They're-
yeah.
And then so they're like family. Yep, that's it.
And
Yeah.
That is it. We don't.
That's it.
Why is we get nothing on Linda, on Fred, on Kelly, which the Fall of Reach book does a fantastic
Yeah.
job of telling you who they are and why they're cool. I mean, I'm not a game designer. I don't pretend to be, but I wonder if even just in the early parts of the campaign, if just quick 10, 20 second little flashback things to Chief having a moment during an early mission with
Oh, yeah.
each one of them.
It was-
and it's to sort of establish, oh, these guys go way back to the pre-Covenant Halo, pre-Halo events, and these people really matter to Master Chief.
I can't
but you
rem-
get none of that.
They went through the Fall of Reach together. Like
Yeah.
that's in terms of the lore of Halo. And again, this is coming from someone who has only played the games and then read a bunch of Wikipedia about it. That's the one event where humanity was dealt a severe blow.
Yeah.
That was basically the fall of humanity right there. Is
Right.
when we lost Reach.
That's nobody knew the aliens existed.
Yeah,
Suddenly
it
they
was a
show up, they
surprise
glass the
attack.
planet. It's
They
just
destroyed-
you can't cover this up
that's our
anymore.
Well, we
main
still had
military
that
planet.
was
Yeah.
of course. I mean, we still had Earth. That
No,
was
yeah, of course.
before
Yeah.
Halo 2. But yeah, that was this is bad.
In the history, that up until that point, humanity thought we were pretty good off.
Yeah.
We were expanding to different planets. We had this really strong military, and then all of a sudden, Reach happened, and everyone was like, "Ooh, we're
vulnerable."
Yeah, we're very vulnerable." And then
Yeah.
obviously, it came the war came to Earth and stuff. But that was it. This beginning point, and they went through this completely riveting
Dramatic.
and traumatic and also dramatic event in military history. They survived it. They had a huge part in basically lowering the casualty amount, and none of that is explained or explored at all.
Either
there's
Kelly
no
or-
sense.
yeah.
There's no sense that any of them went through anything together in the game.
Either Kelly or Linda during that early story, one of them gets plasma shot in the chest, almost dies. She is literally
that's right.
dead. Chief freezes her, brings
Oh,
her
yeah,
to
I forgot
Halsey.
about that.
Yeah, that was
Halsey
awesome.
saves her life. They thought she was dead, so she basically died and was brought back to life by Dr. Halsey, which is kind of explains why they feel like they're family because they really care about each other, and there's a story
Well,
there.
and it shows why Halsey cares so much about them too.
Yeah.
The other thing is like
None of that's explored.
There's no exploration of the reason these people are Chief's team is because not only does like he believes in them so greatly. Like that is one of the things that I remember, just moments of dialogue and stuff. Like there's I think it's Halo 4 or Halo 3 when Cortana and Chief are talking, she talked about how like the reason she chose him wasn't because he was the strongest or the fastest or the smartest, because he's not. And that's the funny thing is like his team is like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Linda or Kelly who's supposed to be way like in terms of reflexes and speed
Kelly, I
way
think.
faster
Yeah, I
than
think
anyone
Kelly's
else?
like-
Oh yeah, that's Kelly.
Linda's
She's
a
super
sniper.
fast.
Linda's
Yeah.
a sniper and the one that does intel.
Like
Yeah.
but Chief, like he's the like just the people who he's the person who kind of brings this team together, but they're really like what makes that team the strongest team of them all is like how well they work together, and he believes in them just as much as they believe in him. Do you get that sense at all? Nope, he barely talks to them. the
No,
whole
in
time.
fact, like they're like, "Hey, Chief, what's
Linda,
going on with
go over
Cortana?
there."
What's going on with Cortana? She seems like she's maybe losing it. You okay?" And he's like, "Nah, just follow me."
no, he kinda,
And he just shuts them out. And they're like,
deflects
"Oh,
a lot.
okay."
Yeah,
and they
he
just
goes-
follow him. What?
she go or like he, you know,
It's like, hey, no, we need to
In
like,
the
just
first-
talk, please, for like a
If
second.
my mom
the
was
very-
leading me to the apocalypse, and I'd be like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she was like, "Don't worry about it." I'm like, "Bye."
Yeah. In the very first Chief mission, you're kind of running around and like you have this vision of Cortana, and she tells you, you know, where she is and stuff essentially. And when he comes out of the vision, they're like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "I'm fine." And they're like, "What happened?" He's like, "Cortana's on Meridian."
That, by the way,
and I'm
was
like, "Oh
terrible.
wait,
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Wait a
So
second."
you
wait.
have a flashback
no,
acid
I
trip?
paused it, and I was like, "Is Chief a psychic now? Like, where did this vision come
Or
from?"
is it like,
Yeah.
oh, parts of her are still inside of his brain and told him? It's like literally
So-
what's going on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like the only other time that we've seen anything remotely like that in Halo was when, is it 3 when he's jumping on the ship to detonate the core, and like, is it the Overmind who has Cortana? And like, because the Overmind,
You mean the Gravemind?
Yeah,
Gravemind, yeah, I get that.
Cortana's like flashing on
Gravemind
the
is all
screen.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Halo
there
2.
we go.
He's in 3.
No, but yeah, like at some point, I can't. Now they're all blending together because I haven't played them in a long time. But like, there's at one point, I think it's Halo 3, when you're jumping on. Is it not the Infinity? Maybe it's the Forward Unto Dawn. I can't remember anymore. But you're trying to detonate the core. He has Cortana there. You're there to retrieve her and get off the ship before you blow it up. And because he has her and he has like psychic abilities, she's able to kind of like in pain reach you, and you're having these like just momentary 5 to second like things where you
Oh,
lose
yeah.
control.
I think that's
No,
the
yeah, I know what
Gravemind.
you're
Cortana's like
talking
talking
about.
The
to you.
Gravemind
I'm pretty sure it was the
causing
end of
that.
Halo 3.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's the end
Halo
of Halo
3.
3.
It
yeah.
is, yeah.
But that's the only other time when Cortana can kind of reach you psychically, and there's an explanation for that, which is that the Gravemind or the Overmind, whatever.
Gravemind.
Gravemind, yeah.
Yeah.
What is Overmind from? Is that from StarCraft?
I
I
don't
think
know.
it is. But there's that moment where like her powers, because she's entering rampancy and she's being held there by a psychic being, she can kind of come through just momentarily. Then all of a sudden, Chief has this psychic thing, like this moment.
Those are all
where
memories in 3,
Yeah.
though. None of those
Yeah.
are like,
But, like, in
stuff
Halo
she's
5,
never said. In Halo
he
5,
gets her
it's-
location.
Yeah.
Presumably, she's already there or going there. How does she reach him?
So there's a
She's
lot of
still
moments
an
like
AI,
that
though,
in
right?
Halo
Like,
5.
how can she do that?
There's so many moments like that in Halo 5 where a major story thread is brought up. Like, she's on Meridian or
Yeah.
wherever. She's cured rampancy.
Yeah.
Things like that. And to your point about, like, the blue team, like, oh, they're a family. Okay, this game brings this up, and you're like, oh, man. And then it moves on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
And you're like,
glosses
wait,
right over
like,
it.
Yeah.
you can't just present something like that and then walk away from it without addressing it or exploring it. And they never follow up on any of these major story threads.
Yeah, because
So
like
it's
here's
hollow.
my thing is like even if I really trust Chief and I'm like, okay, well, how'd you know that? Like that's the first question.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you were laying here on the ground, incapacitated just for a few seconds, and then you come back and now you have her location. How? Explain, because I need to know just so that I can support you. You know.
Yeah.
And then he's like, nope. She's on Meridian. And then they go to Meridian, and then all of a sudden, and this is the other thing, is like, it felt like previous Halo games to me have felt like there's this grand narrative in this universe out there, but it's really anchored by a human story, right? Like it's humans struggle against the Covenant and their own survival, and the core of it all is Chief. It really feels like this story takes a quantum leap forward in the lore. Like now we're on this planet that's been designed by the Forerunners, but not the Forerunners because it's the Guardians are even like a more ancient sort of like preservation tool that like
Space cops.
decides, yeah,
Space cops.
yeah,
That's
like
how
who
they're
decide
described.
who the
Space police.
who the mantle of responsibility goes to, and it's like,
That was the Didact.
yeah, Like, like even the didact, like that whole just like lore of thread, that whole
Thread of lore?
thread of
You know,
lore
there we
in
go.
Halo 4 seemed like it was pushing how big the universe could
Right.
be, and then this just got too big.
Halo 4, you know, again, I gave that game a 9.8. I stand by it.
Yeah.
What I loved about Halo 4 was that it gave us more of Master Chief than we'd ever gotten. It told this very personal
Yeah.
Master Chief story about exploring who he is and his relationship with Cortana. And, you know, yes, Halo 4 was guilty of leaving some really good stuff of its story in the terminals. You know, all the librarian didact stuff that's in the terminals is fascinating, but at least it's in the game.
Yep.
Halo 5 just, as Mitch, as you're saying, brings all this stuff up and then
Glosses
just
over it.
and then just moves on, never touches it, and it's just really unfortunate. It's just a wasted opportunity. It reminded me a lot. I feel like in comic book movies now, you know, the comic book movie thing, and believe me, it's got to be so hard to have a franchise going, because, you know, you start with, look, like Halo 1 is superpowered space marine with his AI buddy, and there's some aliens. And of course, naturally over time, it's got to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Totally,
but
totally.
I feel
Halo's
like
huge.
and that's sort of that same thing happened with comic book movies, like with even within Christopher Nolan's Batman series. Batman Begins, like super simple, and then it sort of gets bigger and bigger until the third one I hated.
Right.
Avengers is doing this. You know, the Marvel movies are doing the same thing. For me, I would love to see, if we're going to continue with Blue Team, which I would love to, because I think they're great.
Develop them,
If
please.
they're developed, I would. This will never happen, because the Halo 6 has to continue off of wherever
they
the
have to
hell
go
we
find
I
left off
guarantee you,
here.
it'll be Locke, Chief, Buck, and Tanaka.
I feel like
I don't
Halo
know, but
5 was like Act 1.
I was just going to say, I would love to see, this will never happen, I would love to see Halo 6 just like go back and tell a much simpler, more personal story of, just go back to like pre-Covenant, like some, you know, find some stories to tell in the early Blue Team days,
Yeah.
when they're all.
Yeah,
they're
it's
all
not going to happen
bonding.
now. That ending is too.
Well,
Halo
No.
5 did one thing pretty cool. They set up Cortana as the villain. Chief now
Finally.
has this
Hated it.
internal struggle
Hated it.
Yeah.
where he's
Really?
going to have to
Hated
go
it.
against, like, basically a woman that he loves. Like, I know she's an AI,
Yeah.
but they care about each
Yeah.
other.
So that's the thing,
you
is
know?
like I love that discussion. Like, does Chief love her? Because
They kind of hint at it during the story.
I think she loves him.
I think they need each other.
Like, have you
I don't
played
think there's
4?
any-
Like that. I think she loves him. I don't think he loves her, but I think he is.
That's his
he
only,
finds
like,
her-
intimacy ever in his life.
Right.
He's 48.
right.
So,
but I don't.
Yeah,
but
I think
that's-
he does.
I think that's sort of the. Just like, I think that's the discrepancy for me, is I don't think intimacy necessarily means love.
no,
I think
it's a codependency, not intimacy.
yeah,
Maybe
like
that's
I think
it,
he
yeah.
cares for her deeply, but I don't think it's love. But that's the thing, is like Halo 4 did such a great thing with Chief and Cortana. Like, at its core, despite all of the crazy stuff with the didact and like the
He
Forerunners
loses
and
her.
stuff, it's a story about these two
It is. That's why I loved it.
Yeah.
people, entities, right? Chief and Cortana. And then I get the idea of trying to reverse that role in Halo 5, but I just don't think it works, because Cortana is insane. Like, she makes no sense at all, and like
Yeah,
the
she's
whole time she's
off
just
the deep end.
beckoning to Chief the whole time, and the whole time he's just like,
come out to play.
Yeah.
And Blue Team's like, yeah, fun.
and
Yeah.
he's just like, okay, cool. And where it's like, I'm playing the game, and the very first time you talk to Cortana,
I'm like, something's not right.
something's not right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at
She's
that
off.
point, as the player character, I'm like, I want to be very cautious moving forward here, because I want to get her back, but she's planning to betray us, or
Yeah.
she's going to, and guess what happens?
Yeah.
She captures them. And I'm like, Chief, you're like humanity's greatest soldier,
You're like
and
the
you just
smartest
walked
dude,
right
yeah.
into this. Like,
Yeah.
Him of
literally
all
walked
people.
You are
right
so
up there.
He's the most street smart guy
Yeah.
in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And the whole time, even the warden's trying to like stop them,
like, Chief,
stop
like, she's
Cortana.
different.
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
you don't know what you're in for, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
But
whole
fine,
time,
I'll kill you again.
The whole time, the warden, whose job it is to keep whoever ascends to the mantle like
Yeah.
safe and stuff, is like. So in one, and that's the other thing, is he's simultaneously supposed to protect Cortana by like going actively against what she wants, which is kind of just a weird position to be in, and it makes things a little weird, because both you as Chief and you as Locke have to do the same sort of fighting the warden events and like
Yeah.
fighting the Prometheans and the Forerunner stuff on the way there. It's just really, really weird. The other thing is, I just didn't buy, like, that's not Cortana to me. You know, like, that isn't even the
She
same
even looks
character.
different.
Well, I mean,
She looks different every
She
game,
does
to be
look
fair.
different.
Yeah.
She's never looked better than she did in 4. I think the design in 4 was the best.
Yeah.
But the point is, they look the same, or they are supposedly the same character, but nothing about her post-curing rampancy is anything indicative of
She
what her
wears
character
armor now.
was before. But I mean, that kind of bugs me. Not the armor part, but it bugs me because, like, I think in order to really convince Chief that she needed that he still had to save her, or that he had any reason for going after her at all, she had to have like remnants of her as the AI he once knew,
Right.
the girl
Yeah.
that he loved.
Yeah,
he
we know
indeed
you're
loves
going with
her,
that, yeah.
But there isn't any of that in there. She's really just a crazy
She's
AI.
totally broken,
Like
yeah.
she's a crazy AI. Like from the very first time you actually talk to her,
And she
it's
has no
just like-
internal struggle. She's like, this is done. Deal with
Yeah, like
it.
that's the other thing is
know?
I
like
do like that. Like she's totally sociopathic. Like she is
Yeah.
fully rampant. She is broken.
Right.
Cortana is done.
Yeah,
but like from
she
a
doesn't exist.
from a storytelling standpoint, like I don't think like if there was something there to identify with from a Chief perspective that made her seem like she was still worth saving, that would have made
Like-
for a much more compelling reason to go there.
Yeah.
Instead, it's not there.
Like,
So
maybe,
it's like,
maybe
why
these
am I
giant
going
police
there?
cops
God.
are too far. No,
That's
you know
the other
what?
thing,
I
is,
have
like,
to stick with what I've
Didn't
decided.
the Forerunners like? They designed the mantle of responsibility. They designed all these constructs. They didn't foresee like maybe an AI getting loose and like taking control of it. They should have foreseen that, right? As like the designers of the universe, they are the ones who created the Halos, right? So they installed AIs before, like Guilty Spark. They must have protocols for how this is like.
Oh,
It doesn't make
legendary
sense.
ending?
Like
I was
gonna
none of
say,
it makes
yeah.
sense.
Speaking of
Dude.
which.
legendary ending. Cortana has a halo.
Great.
They just show a halo and she's humming. That's like the whole
Well, and
story.
it's
you
turning
get.
on. It's
Yeah.
like coming online.
like
Yeah, I
activating.
guess.
I'm
It was very strange.
Wait, why? Okay, so
Yeah, right?
So I didn't play the legendary
The
ending
Halos
either,
were
but
built to contain the flood.
yeah, so they
Yeah.
were by wiping out all of humanity and stuff,
Yeah.
or all of like sentient species, so that the flood just starved to death. That was how it was explained in previous Halo games. What? So in the dialogue that she has with Chief, she's there just to make sure that humanity can grow and not have war, or like all species, right?
Yeah.
She's just there to like police the systems, as she said. She says
Yeah.
this is better for everyone. Why does she want a Halo? Does that seems
Yeah.
totally counterintuitive to everything she
It's
just said in the
strange,
story,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Because that is a weapon only used for one thing. So
To
clearly
kill
that
life.
had to have been her goal in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is also not explained. I don't know. There's just
And I've seen
yeah.
some
Poor
defense
storytelling.
online too of, oh well, it's like the middle part of the trilogy and it'll all be. That's not like that doesn't make Halo 5 better.
Yeah,
today.
no,
Yeah.
like
Look
Halo
at-
5 is an act 1.
look at great
It is.
trilogies. Does Star Wars A New Hope stop before they kill the Death Star just because you're going to deal with it later? No, you have to finish the story. Like,
Yeah.
and it all makes sense as one. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. What happens, right? You get the ring, you establish a goal, and there's a big battle at the end, and the Fellowship gets broken. And that's like a great ending, right? Like the story is contained, we know it's coming forward. It's just like, as much as I love the design of not just the world and
Yeah,
the
that's
gameplay,
what I wanted
like
to
it's
end
amazing.
on with this.
I didn't get
It
to
was
mention
all
Halsey.
anchored
I just
by
want
this
to talk about her briefly.
poor
Yeah.
storytelling. Oh God, Halsey, yeah.
Go.
Do it. Go ahead.
Halsey,
Even though
create-
Sean was segueing me perfectly into where I wanted to go.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Destin.
Halsey like creates the Spartans, and when you get her, she's just like, I sent out my distress call forever ago. She's been helping this elite
Jewel
Jewel Dama figure out more about the Prometheans. And first mission, they show up, kill that dude who's had her prisoner for a year.
Yeah.
Also,
longer.
hope you played Spartan Ops, because why does she have one arm? Hope you played that.
Also in Spartan Ops, what was her name?
Don't play Spartan Ops. Just watch the
Yeah.
cutscenes.
Sarah
Yeah.
Palmer.
Sarah Palmer shoots Halsey in the arm. She's the reason Halsey has one arm, and then they're just hanging out like
buds.
nothing happened.
Yeah.
If you were the reason that I lost an arm, I would hate you. I would want to kill you. And she's smart enough that she could do that, but she's just like, remember that time you shot me in the arm and it was removed by the elite?
Yeah, didn't
We're
they cut
cool.
off the plasma sword or something?
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're cool now. No, at the end of 4, they established she's like, I want revenge. 5 shows up, she's just like, oh, cool. Hey guys,
They're
we're
like
cool
on the
again.
same team.
They're
We're
on the
Gucci,
same
fine job.
team.
Yeah.
No,
Just imagine,
not a chance.
Just imagine Halsey, back in the same room with Palmer, and Halsey's like, "Oh, hey, Palmer, looking pretty good. You've been doing some push-ups. I can't do push-ups because I only have one arm."
I want to see those two like talk
The
a
other
little
thing
bit
is, like,
seriously.
in those scenes where Halsey
You
is,
know.
just again going back to the
Yeah.
Spartans, like they made like Sarah Palmer towers over
She's
Halsey,
huge.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, Sarah Palmer isn't augmented either.
No.
Like none
Yeah.
of the Spartan 4s are. How come they're so huge? Like
Yeah.
it makes no sense. Like
and then Halsey took you long enough.
Like
Oh,
3
yeah.
times she says,
Yeah.
what took you so
Also,
long?
just while we're on the subject, for me, I mean, not that it's not that I've been holding out hope or expecting Chief's helmet to ever come off in a game.
hope
I
it
know,
doesn't.
the
They did
Halo
in
4
4,
legendary
yeah.
ending got the eyes, but the end of Halo 5, if the helmets were, I'm now convinced it's never coming off because that end when blue team, and they're showing
see
them,
Halsey,
they're
yeah.
like it's framed too,
Their
where it's like you
mom,
can see them
basically.
kind of full body.
Yeah.
They walk up, blue team meets up with Halsey, and like she's their mom basically. They, in fact, in the books, she's referred to as mom.
Yeah.
That would have been the point where like the mission's over, battle's over, we hook back up with mom, and it would have been all 4 of them, helmets off.
You
And
could have
so
done-
helmets are never coming
Good
off.
to see you again, Mom.
Like,
end.
you
like,
could've-
that's more powerful than what they ended on.
I feel like you could have done more with Halsey's character too, because like she's not exactly a good person, right? Like,
No,
No.
she's terrible.
That's what's
Yeah.
great
She is-
about it.
She's
It's like
kidnapped 6-year-olds
Yeah,
and
yeah.
done
She
terrible-
kidnapped a bunch
and
of-
lied about it
Commander
to Tony.
Keyes
and-
in the first game
but what's
actually helped her with that.
But what's awesome
process.
about it is like she did that because she had to. Like
Yeah.
she saw this threat that this was. She felt like she had to do it in order
Yeah.
to save humanity. And I think on some level, Chief and his team know that, and so they have this like respect for each other because in a way
You had to do
he's
that
her
to get the
greatest
mission
creation.
done.
Yes.
And the only reason he's alive is because of her. So while they recognize that like they've both done like kind of not so great things,
Mm-hmm.
they have this respect for each other, this like bond. Is that explored at all? Nope. She like looks at him for a second and is like, "Let's get you a new visor." It's just I don't know. It's super dumb.
So to finish up, again, it's not a bad first-person shooter campaign. Again, we've kind of touched on. The mechanics are absolutely rock solid. Never
Yeah.
been better in a Halo series.
Yep.
Yeah.
The weapons feel great. The sound design, the built-in co-op, the verticality of the
some
level
levels
design,
are
yeah.
super cool.
Different paths.
the alternate paths of the
Yeah.
level design are all fantastically executed. But it's just the
Storytelling,
underlying
man.
storytelling. Halo's always had that to stand on and to use to elevate its mechanics, and now the story holds everything
Yeah.
down, and it's really really unfortunate.
And just to like finish that thought, like
Yeah.
if I was to say, if me personally as a gamer and as someone who loves games, if I was to talk to any developer, I would say like story means everything first. Like the game is only the game to me personally if it's like if it tells me something that I learned something about.
Yeah.
You know,
and
like
if you're going
I
to have
learned
a story, do it right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't-
Like, Halo's strength has been its story,
Yes.
and its gameplay and its combat, and all that's fine except for the story.
I'd love to learn why it ended up like this because like there
I'm willing
had
to
to be a
bet
better
that Halo
narrative
5
there.
was a very different game 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like you can see remnants of it in Sanghelios, where you go to like these hub worlds.
Or the trailers that we never see in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of stuff that
Well,
I think
you want a
must
chief
have
in a poncho?
changed.
Maybe.
Lots of people are enjoying it. I mean, I'm seeing the
Yeah.
critic
I love
It is
critical
fun to
reviews.
play. It's
are
fun to
very,
play.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to play. The critics are divided. I'm seeing lots of different tweets of people saying, I really enjoyed the campaign. And then a lot of people saying, oh, I totally see where you guys were coming from. I really didn't like the story. And nobody's wrong. You know, you take from it what you
Yeah,
will. And if you
totally.
like it, if you loved it, more power
Awesome.
to you. You know, again, Halo 4 was divisive too. I was on I'm just on the other side of the fence from where I was with 4. A lot of people really hated 4. Some of them probably unfairly just because it wasn't Bungie.
Right.
But some people just didn't like Halo 4. I loved Halo 4 and
I love it.
But the good news is, to close out on our Halo 5 spoiler cast here, the one thing I think everybody agrees on: multiplayer is frickin' phenomenal.
It's great.
It is
Super
worth the price of admission. Play it, love it, enjoy it.
I think you'll enjoy the campaign too. Even if you just like tune out the story, you're gonna have a
Campaign
great time.
co-op's really fun.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think Halo 4 was ultimately, I think, remembered mostly for it, the single player campaign and what it did for that personal story we talked about, and the multiplayer. I liked it, but in the end, it had no legs. It didn't, Halo 4 multiplayer for many reasons didn't stick. It didn't have the legs, and Halo 4 is remembered more for its campaign. I think Halo 5 is going to be the opposite, where
Yeah.
in the end, Halo 5 is going to be remembered as a great multiplayer
Yeah.
game.
I really just hope going forward that they, kind of take it to heart and take the feedback to heart, because like I wouldn't like this to set a precedent for how the story is treated going forward. To me, the big draw has always been the lore and the story of Halo and the characters, and I would love to see that continue.
Well, it's one of the last major first-person shooter franchises where story matters or is even included at all.
Yeah.
Rainbow Six, no more campaign.
Call of
Duty, they're
flirting with it.
They're exactly. So
They're
it's
just like, you can go to any mission you want.
well
yeah.
that and
That and
it's
we're not
gone-
putting it on the disc on Xbox 360
Yeah.
and
correct.
PlayStation
So
3.
Yeah.
it's yeah, I'm with you, Sean. Hopefully, Halo 6 we can dial it back to bring it back to
They have
the
set
good
up,
Halo story.
They have set up again, like they did with the marketing. They have set up what could be a phenomenal Halo 6.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is
Yeah.
like
Story,
we don't
story,
know
yeah.
where the rest of the story goes, so they may have a lot of great stuff in store. But I feel like things like when you have a really big sci-fi universe where crazy things are happening and there's aliens and things happening from like millions of years ago that were set in motion by AI and stuff, you really need like a great human story and universal sort of human elements to ground it in any sort of reality. Look at Star Wars, right? That's exactly what Star Wars is. A great human story at the center of this intergalactic conflict. And Halo needs to get back to that if it wants to be on firmer footing going into 6 and 7. That's the trilogy, right? 5, 6, 7.
Well,
No, it's 4, 5, 6.
Well, 4, 5. They said
4,
it was
5,
going to be a
6.
trilogy. When 4 was announced, it was going to be the
No,
Forerunner
Saga.
trilogy. Then they went, just kidding. We mean Forerunner Saga. So they didn't want to pin themselves into 3 games.
Got
so
it.
this storyline could continue.
So
for
yeah, going forward,
a
I would
while.
love to see how that all plays out with the Chief and humans specifically.
And in the meantime, we will see you on Xbox Live in some Warzone
Shooting
games.
Oh, yeah.
with BRs.
We'll be right back with a little bit of news, and then we'll get out of here pretty quickly. All right, couple of quick but relevant news stories. The spoiler chat has ended. You can listen. You can listen to the other like 15 minutes of the show now if you want. I want to start with the new dashboard. We've been toying around with it here. It is a huge improvement. It's quick. It's minimalist. It's organized pretty smartly. All the like online chat stuff is just way better.
It's all about that controller customization, man.
Yeah, controller customization is in there. The inverting for all stuff that we were talking about.
For you
All the
monsters.
controller profiles are in there. So lots of good stuff, and we have a final release date for it, as announced on the Halo 5 launch live stream, that sort of YouTube stream that Microsoft did. It is going to be coming along with backwards compatibility, the official
Oh, cool.
backwards compatibility stuff,
Nice.
all together on the same day, and it's November 12th.
I'm gonna play Gears of War Judgment
Awesome.
the week Fallout comes out.
You're gonna play it.
Nice.
Yeah, you're gonna play an old game when the brand new
Absolutely.
brand new game is here
That's
for
what
you.
everyone wants to do anyway.
Love Judgment.
Yeah, this is right after Tomb Raider comes out, which thus it is after all of Microsoft's big first party holiday games are out, which I guess makes sense. You know, you don't want to risk throwing a wrench into, because when you change the operating system, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal, especially it's
Some
moving
people,
from Windows 8 to 10.
have had issues with the preview stuff. I'm waiting till
Oh,
the actual retail
Oh,
release.
and as am I.
Yeah.
What I'm running it on a separate work machine. I'm not running it on my
Yeah,
home machine
yeah.
for that exact reason.
I mean, I read an article that some people who were using it, like
I saw
were
some people
giving-
tweeting bricked consoles at me. Like,
I saw that too.
I'm just
That's
like, I'm not
terrifying.
updating.
but again,
Yeah.
they totally warned everyone.
Yeah,
it was
it's-
it was
it's
an
warned, yeah.
an opt-in thing, and it's pretty well past. It's pretty solid now.
I'm
like,
just
it's
saying,
getting
I'm waiting
close,
for
but-
November to
but
upgrade
yeah,
my
November
dashboard.
12th is the day. And yeah, totally makes sense that they're not going to risk any wrenches thrown into Halo's
games,
launch
yeah.
or Tomb Raider's launch on the first party side. And similarly, Criterion announced that not necessarily on November 12th, but at some point, they're going to be adding Burnout Paradise to the list
Oh,
of
cool.
the Xbox 360 backwards compatible games.
We
As
talked about
IGN's
that a
biggest
little bit.
Burnout fan, you guys are happy.
Love
Yeah.
that game.
well, Paradise is the one that
It's
that
divisive.
is I don't
It's
like.
it's the one nobody
Yeah.
likes but me.
No, lots of people do love
That's a
it. It's
bummer.
some
Yeah.
people. It's
They
their
like
favorite.
driving around and finding the missions. I like, as in your
Well,
show
that's the thing.
notes.
If Criterion, if you're listening, somebody over there is. I know it's got to be, or somebody relay the message.
Yeah.
Burnout Revenge next.
So
Please do
good.
that one. Because remember, it was ported to 360 from original Xbox 2 months after the system came out. It came out in January of 2006.
Wow.
For Xbox. It was totally just a port up. But
Why would
what
you
did
do
you
that?
do?
Dude, what
It's
is
just-
wrong with you?
Just a
Why did-
trigger.
you're
I didn't
breaking
break
the
it.
trigger.
I didn't break it. I just pulled the trigger.
Come on, man.
Busting up my trophy.
No. My trophy.
You can ruin it when you earn it in 5 years.
Destin
guys.
just assaulting the Dookie trophy that
I was
get your head. Come
Stop
on,
touching it.
It's just a trigger. It's not
you're like
broken.
my 4-year-old, man.
Something definitely snapped off and went flying.
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Destin.
Ruins
Anyway,
paint.
Criterion, yes, please reach back into the archive and port over, because they are based off the same engine. So theoretically, hopefully it wouldn't be. I don't know, because I'm not a developer, but hopefully it wouldn't be
just
too bad. But let's
Right
get
click, save as.
yeah, file save as dot Xbox burnout revenge dot Xbox
XEX.
XB1
Yeah.
Dot 1080p.
dot 1080p dot 60 frames per second. It was already 60 frames a second
There you go.
on 360, so 120 frames
Racing
per
games
second.
generally are.
Typically, yeah, whenever they can be. Forza Horizon's not, but you never know it because
Cruising USA is like 5 frames a second.
Anyway, so big news on the new Xbox One Experience dashboard there. Mark your calendars for that. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up this week is just for you Rock Band fans, such as myself, Harmonix has delivered the Rock Band 3 song exports.
Pretty good.
Are
Decent set
happening.
list.
Yeah, not the series best, but
But I'm
there's-
confused. What is an export?
So it's a license to take everything that was on the disc for that game and export it for use in a future Rock Band game, in this case, Rock Band 4. So Rock Band 1, when Rock Band 2 came out, you could export like 95%, because it's all licensing, right? Like,
Right.
you know, Metallica, for whatever reason, went, oh no, our license with you was just for Rock Band 1. We're
don't
not
want to do it
authorizing
for
you
two,
to use
yeah.
this in future games. So Rock Band 1's export brought most of the songs
Got it.
into basically let you export them to your hard drive for use with Rock Band 2. You know, Enter Sandman was not in there. A few others were not in
Yeah.
there. And then the same thing happened from 2. You could export 2. So then at that point it became all of 1 and all of 2 you could export to 3.
Right. And now we
Green
have
Day, and then
3
the
to
Rock
4.
Band Green Day you could export as well. Beatles, of course, you never could, never
Yeah.
will. But yeah, so now originally, and we're still waiting on the exports, by the way, but Rock Band 1, 2, and Green Day and Lego are all exportable. But now Rock Band 3 is as well. So that's another, like, whatever it is, 60, 70, 80, a bunch of songs that will now be able to be used in Rock Band 4. The export key will cost you $15, but $15 for what amounts to a 60 whatever song pack. Pretty
Yeah.
good deal
Yeah.
if you've got Rock Band 3 there. So very stoked that Harmonix could make this happen.
So people are going to have a huge track list for Rock Band 4
Yes.
around its release.
Yeah,
right?
they're targeting. So they have a December free update planned for Rock Band 4, where they're going to add some sort of community-driven features, and they're aiming to have this Rock Band 3 export be ready in time, like as part of that update. So hopefully, in just a month and a half or so, we'll be able to get Rock Band 3 and the other Rock Band song exports into the new game. So that is because then that'll last us the whole generation. We'll have all these Rock Band songs for the entire Xbox One, PS4 generation. Mitch Dyer,
Yes, sir.
we're in the thick of the holidays.
It's happening.
What's out? What can we spend our money on?
Oh, I feel like there's something. I can't.
Some little game?
It's called
Yeah.
Hello 5.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Halo 5
Hello.
Guardians.
Halo 5.
It's
Oh.
available now, and
how you
all of
say
us recommend that you play it thoroughly. We enjoyed it very much.
Yes.
WWE 2K16 is out. No idea if that one's any good.
A game that sort of doesn't make a lot of noise, like particularly in kind of the IGN world,
Offices.
but it
sells
sells
crazy numbers.
millions
Well,
of copies
People
every
like
year.
those wrestling.
Also, WWE like videos just in general do so well on IGN.
Yeah, it's
People
crazy.
love wrestling.
people love it.
People love
Wrestling.
wrestling. Yeah.
And Assassin's Creed Syndicate came out last Friday. We didn't get to touch on that one.
It's
but
good.
It's awesome. Game's really great.
Last Assassin's Creed, I liked. I didn't like it, but I had to do the guide for 3, and I just kind of was like, I can't do this series for a little while. Played Syndicate, I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
feels-
looking
it's
forward.
really good.
I'm looking forward to trying
Feels
it out.
great. Awesome personality.
Yeah.
Really incredible world. Definitely the one you should play if you've been holding out for a while. Minecraft Story Mode Episode 2 dropped very suddenly this week. The trailer came out and was like, surprise, it's out now. You can play it. $5 or it's free if you bought the season pass. It's just available on your machine now. Adventure Time Finn and Jake Investigations is $50, and then you have here, but with a free trial.
Yeah, there's a free trial for this one. It's a
like a
it's a
demo?
kids. Well, yeah, basically.
Huh. Like
Yeah.
downloadable
Not
on
like
the store?
Yeah, it's all.
That's
it's right-
awesome. I'm blown away that that exists still. We were talking about this pretty recently. The games don't do this anymore.
Yeah, please do more of these.
Cool. Make a point. Download the free trial, even if you're not going to play it, just to send a message.
That's true. I second that.
October's games with gold are Valiant Hearts: The Great War all month long, and The Walking Dead: The Complete First Season until November 15th
Yes.
on Xbox One. Xbox 360 has The Walking Dead Season 1 until the 31st.
Right,
So
for the rest
download
of the
your
month there.
spookies before Spooky Town.
The best Walking Dead.
November's games were announced. We have Numa Breath of Life on Xbox One all month for November. I don't know what that is. Night Squad. Okay. Night Squad for Xbox One from November 16th till December 15th. Dirt 3 and Dungeon Siege 3 on Xbox 360. You can get Dirt 3, which is awesome, in the first half of the month, and Dungeon Siege 3, which was all right.
I
in the
like
back half.
Dungeon Siege 3 quite
Nice.
a bit.
Okay.
Isn't Dungeon Siege 3 the movie or the
No.
game?
It was
which
an
the-
Uwe Boll film.
Yeah,
it was
which-
made into an Uwe Boll.
That's
film.
that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Don't
They're
watch
very,
it.
They're very different games, too.
Don't watch anything Uwe Boll did.
Unless you just like seriously want to do a little Rift Tracks MST3K action with your friends,
Yeah.
then it's
Still not
perfect
even
for
Oh,
it.
also, State of Decay on Xbox One is half off
Oh,
until
cool.
November 15th.
That's a
That
good
it
game.
is?
Yeah, they announced that today.
Oh, you should 100% buy that. So wait, it's $15.
I believe so, yeah. Let me
'Cause
try to
wasn't
bring up
it-
Major Nelson real quick.
I'm pretty sure it was 30. Yeah, if it's $15, that's a steal.
Yeah.
Help me out, Mitch.
Sorry, Vamp.
My
Man.
hard drive is getting pretty full these days.
do that.
I'm about I think 25% already into my 2 terabyte
Oh,
external
yeah.
drive plus a full
Good Lord.
built-in hard drive.
I have an
I'm-
external at home.
Video
I don't worry
games.
about it
I
anymore.
don't like the
Yeah.
idea of an external though.
All right, let me actually
wanna
get this
plug
correct.
something
Okay,
into
Once
my
you plug it
Xbox.
in, you're fine. I have like 6 games on my work console, maybe 5 because they're huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
State of Decay is 40% off.
So
Which
is
puts
this
it at $18.
Deals with gold. You got to be a
Yes.
gold member for this.
Yes, so if you're a gold member,
Okay.
State of Decay is $18
that's
until November
still a
2nd.
fantastic deal.
There's some really good stuff here. Slender's $5.
Nice.
Zombie, which recently came out on Xbox, is $13. Costume Quest is $5.
Awesome.
The original Resident Evil's $15. There's some good stuff in there.
Cool.
For the deals with gold.
Love it.
Titanfall's $5.
No, that's a
a
you should
good
100%
buy
get
that,
that.
yeah.
White
please.
Knight is $5 that you shouldn't spend.
On that note, we will be right back with the trivia unless Destin breaks the Dookie trophy first. Be right
Get your
back.
hands off my trophy.
Just pulled the trigger.
Stop touching my trophy.
All right, unlock block trivia time. This Dookie trophy, if you're watching on video, our bronzed original
go.
Xbox Duke controller will reside on the desk of whoever has the most trivia points, the most trivia
Destin.
answers correct by the end of the
Sean
year.
Finnegan.
Currently, it is these two gentlemen, Destin and Mitch,
And
17
neck
points.
and neck. Yeah, tied.
Tied with
17 points. Sean at 6 points. That's not how math works, Sean. Hate to break it to you. But by the way, this week's prize is a killer one. It's going.
Good Lord, I just looked at this.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going. I told you last week, and I told you that, and I wasn't kidding. Everybody that entered for the console the week before was automatically entered for this.
Nice.
Except for the guy who won it.
Yeah.
And our
Well,
winner
yes.
once
Did
again.
you send out the console yet?
It's all in the mail. Everybody's going to be getting their
Okay.
stuff very soon. So,
Nice.
Again, I have to thank Microsoft for just reaching out and saying, "Hey, do you want to give this away?" On, I was like, "Yes,
Yes, we do.
please." Here's what's in this thing. By the way, well,
Is this one package?
it's all in the giant bag. So it's a
Thank you for the
Muster.
giveaway.
It's a Muster brand bag. It's this big, huge green, almost like
Duffel bag?
army duffel bag
Yeah.
thing, and its contents. Astro A40 Halo headphones.
Worth it right there.
Already.
Yeah, I could
250
stop
bucks, something
right
like that.
here.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, their duffel bags are awesome. I'm looking at this now.
Halo t-shirt, Halo zip hoodie, 2 Halo hats, 1 Chief, 1 Lock. Wear the Chief one. A collection of exclusive Skull Metal Halo patches and a custom Halo cinch bag. Boomco Blaster Battle Pack, which are the Nerf gun things. Mega Bloks limited edition Halo set from which they had at San Diego Comic-Con. A copy of Halo 5, a copy of the strategy guide, and a digital copy of the Halo 5 original soundtrack. Damn.
All in all, that's like 450 bucks of stuff.
I also just want to point out
right
some
under your
free
foot.
advertising for Muster Brand. I'm at their website. Their stuff looks awesome. This is it's really expensive. Like $250 for a jacket, but these jackets look awesome.
So
Wait,
I want
the
to.
jacket's $250?
No,
If a
there's
jacket's
not a
250
not-
bucks,
oh,
it better
that's
be
not in the
Spartan.
price.
It's
Sorry,
just like
sorry.
some of their stuff.
It
right?
better
Oh,
be
there are
Spartan
other
armor
products.
by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again,
This is great.
thank you to Microsoft for kindly offering this. And our winner is from his town is Lee's Summit, Missouri. I like to do that, just in case there's probably
All right.
like 3 listeners from
Yeah.
Lee's Summit, Missouri. Jared Mars, congratulations,
Congrats, man.
you've
That's
won.
awesome.
Just for sending in this question, which I will now. It's critical. It's crunch time here, guys.
I know we are so
Every
close to being out of
correct
2015.
answer counts in the quest for the Dookie. So Jared's
testing it so well.
excellent question.
This is a good one.
His Xbox trivia question is this. It's in honor of Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which of course had its big new trailer drop very recently, I should say. LucasArts revealed several titles, released several titles on Xbox systems. That's kind of an understatement, actually. But he asks, what was the first Star Wars game from LucasArts to release on the original Xbox? The original Xbox. Was it Star Wars Obi-Wan? Was it Star Wars The Clone Wars? Was it the legendary Knights of the Old Republic? Or was it Star Wars Starfighter? Jared Mars from Lee's Summit, Missouri has won himself that killer Halo swag pack, courtesy of Microsoft.
Swag pack.
And it is now just Destin is in deep. It's like
He's
final.
changing his answer.
It's like Final Jeopardy
Yeah.
over there. He's like head
Dude,
down, deep
the
in
question
thought.
has been asked. Make
Yeah,
the
I know.
call.
All right, fine.
Okay. Well, he has written
think I'm
down.
wrong.
Everybody's written down their answers. So Sean, I will go to you first.
Why? Because I'm in the lead.
That's not how psychology
Good
works.
jokes.
I appreciate that.
I chose Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic because I'm pretty sure Obi-Wan and Starfighter are made up, and I don't remember Clone Wars.
I'm gonna go to. I'm gonna go to Mitch now.
I am pretty confident in my answer that it's Star Wars Obi-Wan. I'm pretty sure this was a launch game that came out like a year or two after The Phantom Menace. It was like an Obi-Wan origin story, sort of, and it took place in that era, but came out before the Clone Wars. And whatever idiot answer, stupid Destiny.
Wait,
just
so Star Wars Obi-Wan is a real game?
Yeah,
It is.
I'm pretty sure. Like, I vividly remember looking at the Xbox website when they announced it, and looking at like all the games. It was like Shrek, which I
Okay.
think was the first game I played
Yeah.
on Xbox.
Because looking at this list, I
And
was definitely
Obi-Wan was
like,
there, and I was
that's
like, oh
not
my
real.
God.
Yeah. So what freaked me out was Xbox systems. I was thinking 360 for some reason. I originally put Clone Wars, which was released on the 360. I remember the box art.
Oh, you're thinking of like the animated series Clone Wars, not Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the video game, which was terrible.
Yeah, it was bad, but it was the first one released. Anyway, so I think Obi-Wan was 360, but I don't know now. And I put Knights of the Old Republic because that was a pretty big deal getting the Star Wars license and everything. So I don't know. I think I'm wrong. Just explaining. I think you might be right, Mitch, and I'm bummed.
McCaffrey's
The
getting some
verdict.
research in
I'm
now.
just
Just
double,
to,
so I was just double checking because I'm just double checking Jared's included answer. He did get it correct, and so I'll tell you, it is close. This was super close.
oh, they like came out like
It's
back to back.
Yeah, like really close to each other. So, Mitch, sorry, what'd you say, Mitch?
I said Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. Destin went
Knights
with
of the Old Republic.
KOTOR.
and you went with KOTOR
Yeah.
too, right? Well, you KOTOR guys clearly don't remember anything.
It was like
KOTOR was
2004.
KOTOR was like 2003, way after.
I don't remember 2003, so that's fair assessment.
Mitch,
Yeah.
you were closer, but nobody got it.
Was
Oh,
it the
thank
Clone
God.
Wars?
It was Starfighter.
Starfighter's a
was
real thing
first?
too.
Yeah.
Dude, Starfighter was
It was.
awesome.
So, Obi-Wan, because I started to doubt it too, because I remember Obi-Wan coming out very early
And
in
that
the.
was the one they promoted on Xbox.com ahead of launch.
Star Wars Obi-Wan, which was not a good game, by the way, December 19th, 2001, just barely over a month after the console
When
had
was it?
shipped.
December?
What
December
was Starfighter
19th.
then? Was it a racer?
Starfighter.
Wow.
Was it the pod racer?
It was a
It's where you play a
aerial
video
combat
game.
game.
And have to be
The Xbox version,
Galactic.
November 26th, so about a 3-week difference.
What did you do in Starfighter? Like, what was it?
It's a star
play a
space
video
combat
You're
game.
Naboo Starfighter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
have to save the
nobody
galaxy.
gets it.
Oh my
We remain
God.
deadlocked. But Jared Mars,
Jared,
he's
you
our big
son
winner from winning all that awesome stuff. I want to thank Jared for entering. Let's see. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what. Next week, a listener who I wish I'd written it down. I'll have it next week. I'll give him a proper shout out and a thank you. A listener generously donated because he bought the Halo console, but bought like the collector's edition of Halo 5. He donated his copy of Halo 5
Nice.
Oh.
to give away. So
Wow.
Halo 5 will be the prize next week. If you'd like to win, send your Xbox-related trivia question. Again, not too hard, but not a softball, and not something we've already done before. Just something where these guys have a reasonable shot if they don't actually know it.
Yeah, and consider who you're asking here. Just pointing
So
it out.
send that Xbox-related trivia question, including 4 multiple-choice answers. Note the correct one in your email. And I actually don't need a mailing address because it's just a digital download code for Halo 5. So send all that to where, Mitch?
Unlocked at IGN.com.
Good stuff. Let's do some plugs and get out of here because this is an hour
The
and a half
longest
show.
episode we've ever done.
And it's also going to have like half of our fans that are going to unsubscribe from the show for
Because we didn't like
Yeah.
the campaign.
criticizing Halo
butts.
5.
We love the multiplayer.
Love the multiplayer.
Yeah, man. Love playing the campaign.
I'll just say real quick, IGN Prime, that is, of course, a great way. It is you win by not getting ads on IGN or on IGN videos, and we win by getting a little bit of your money to help keep the lights on, keep us employed. It's $30 for a 1-year subscription, and you can sign up at IGN.com/Prime. There are a few other perks, occasional beta access to games, occasional free games. Really, it's if you're an IGN Power user, it's just going to improve your IGN browsing experience. And I've also been asked by the great Jared Petty, the literal nicest human being I've ever met in my life.
Is this happening now?
I've got his copy here to read. Next
Nice.
week, IGN launches The Vault, our new weekly Fallout 4 show. Join our intrepid band of post-apocalyptic survivors as we explore the ruins of Boston and the mysteries of life after irradiation. Watch the first episode next Wednesday on IGN. And if you've got a topic you'd like us to address, tweet at Vault_IGN and let us know what you'd like to talk about. So Jared Petty will be heading up that show along with probably Dan Stapleton. I don't know who else is on it.
Tal.
Quite possibly, yeah. So all of our biggest Fallout super fans will be on. I'm sure Marty's on every damn show we do here, so he'll probably be on. He's actually not on that show, but
Marty will never be on Fireteam Chat.
damn.
I don't think he'll play Destiny though. So
I'll remind you to follow me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. We've got a week of IGN first content we're dead in the middle of for Below, which is the, of course, Xbox One console exclusive downloadable digital title from Capybara Games. We had Nathan on the show last week. I got so much great, I guess the opposite of hate mail would be love mail. I got so much love mail and love tweets from people loving Nathan on the show. He was fantastic
It
last
is
week.
such
He's a
an
nice
incredible game, too.
Oh, Below?
Lord,
Yeah,
Below
you
is so
played it while he was here. I actually haven't
Yeah.
had a chance to
Yeah,
play
Marty
it
and I
yet.
have been playing it.
We've got the first 18 minutes of the game up, which the beginning of it's very interesting. So, and it's the game is meant to be sort of infinitely
It's
replayable.
incredibly
So
vague
just
by design.
check
and
out
very
that
interesting.
Check out that beginning of the game, and then there's a commentary with Nathan up today over that footage. And then Friday, Marty's going to have Marty played a lot more than the beginning, and Marty will have a full-up video preview that's just fully editorialized
Yep.
his opinion of what he played. And then, I don't think I've got anything else. Oh, I guess no. IGN Unfiltered, my new interview talk show on IGN that's going to be once a month. Episode 1 was Tim Schafer. Episode 2 went up last week, and it is with Josh Holmes, the studio head of internal development at 343 Industries. Dude has a fascinating life and career. We talk
Canadian.
about Canadian guy, fellow Canadian, Mitch, learned how he wanted to be an actor when he was young and auditioned for what became Chris O'Donnell's role as Robin in the Joel Schumacher. Dead serious.
That's awesome.
Dead serious. Listen for that. Then we go through. He came up through the ranks at EA. He created the Def Jam video game series. He created NBA Street.
I didn't know that.
wow.
I didn't know it either. So this turned
I
out to be
love
an even
Def Jam
better.
Vendetta and Fight for
Yes.
New York. Josh.
And then he left to found Propaganda Games and the Turok reboot. Remember that? So, and then we get into some Halo stuff too. So, really encourage you to check that out. You can either watch the video on IGN on the IGN Xbox One app, or our YouTube channel. Or alternatively, it is now also a podcast. So if you just search for Unfiltered on iTunes, you'll find the feed for it too. There's only 2 episodes so far. They're just going to be once a month, but I would love to know what you think. Do you think it's boring? Do you not like 1 hour interviews and with
I'm
nothing
sure
else.
people will tell you now.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, that's going to determine whether or not it keeps going. I love doing it. I hope you like listening to it. Mitch Dyer, what are you up to?
Listen to IGN Overclocked. That's our PC podcast. That's basically the only thing I've got going on. Read my Halo 5 editorial. Halo 5's ads lied to you. Check out Ryan and I in that video. That's kind of it for now.
Cool.
Working on some stuff down the line, but nothing immediate.
Shark?
Follow me on Twitter at I'm Finnegan. The next couple weeks and months, I'll be playing a lot of Destiny and Halo 5. I'll be on IGN Live a lot, probably with these guys.
Yes.
So, yeah, check that out. Also, a plug for a show that no one really knows that I'm involved with, but I've produced a show called History of Awesome for the past year. And honestly, it's really great content, but no one really knows it exists because they're kind of like, they happen weekly and they don't get the greatest promotion.
Yeah, each episode covers a year, and we go over that year in sort of pop culture, games, film, TV,
yeah, it's
right?
a podcast.
Comics.
Yeah, it's a podcast style show where we talk about all of the cool stuff that influenced nerd culture, basically the stuff that IGN would be covering. So movies, comics, TV shows, and sometimes books and other things like PC launches, like PCs coming up in the late 70s and early 80s.
It's
and
like
stuff
pure
like that.
nostalgia.
Yeah,
The whole
we're
show
up
is
to-
just
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
great.
like that.
What
I
are we
like
up to
that
now?
too.
We're up to
2000?
2000.
Are we
2000
really?
went up today. We started in 1977.
Star Wars.
Yeah, the year of Star Wars.
Would
And
nothing good happened before then.
and we will conclude with 2015, the year of
And,
Star Wars.
Yeah, man.
That is on video
By
and all
design,
in all
yeah.
the same places I mentioned for Unfiltered, but it is also a podcast now, I believe.
Yeah, you can find the podcast. It is at the time we launched it, it was the 17th highest rated history podcast.
Yeah, it's in
on
the history
iTunes.
section.
It's
It's not in the
history
next
section.
section.
way.
Yeah. And you can
So
find the
good.
videos on YouTube or on IGN just by searching History of Awesome. Yeah, go check out the year you were born, see what cool stuff happened that year. I mean, I'm an 86er, the year of Aliens, which is an
Tight.
awesome year. So,
Look at you.
yeah.
I think I have Die Hard.
Oh, man. Jealous.
Yeah.
What were
Destin
you,
Laguerre.
Destin?
You're welcome,
65 or
82,
something?
yeah, 65. We drove
77 Star
we
Wars.
drove horse carriages back then, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. For plugs, I don't know what happened in 1982. That's the year I was born.
Fail.
But yeah.
Blade Runner.
was I gonna say?
Wait, no, that may be 83.
Yeah, we'll say Blade Runner. Let's go with that one. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Follow me on Twitter at Destin Laguerre. We do Fireteam Chat every Friday. I've been doing all these little Destiny breakouts at the end of the day. We did a Thriller dance montage where
I
we got
love
a bunch
that
of
so
Guardians
much.
together and we just kind of
Nice.
synced it up. I did all the Halloween masks. They're doing a really cool event in that game right now. So I just did a few clip outs so you can kind of see what's happening.
I've been having a lot of fun with that quest.
Blade
Blade Runner
82.
is 1982.
Look at that.
And yeah, again, follow me on Twitter at Destin Laguerre.
Fantastic. Guys, thank you so much. Most of you get the show on iTunes where you just search Unlocked, Podcast Unlocked. You'll find it easily. But again, every episode's on video now on IGN.com, on YouTube, on the IGN Xbox One app. Wherever you want to get it, it's there for you. And that's it. So again, thanks to Microsoft for providing that killer Halo prize pack for
awesome
giveaway with
prize
Unlock Block. And that's it. We will see you guys back for, I promise there won't be spoilers of anything in next
Done.
week's.
We did it. We got it out of our systems.
Exactly.
I feel better.
So we'll see you back here for episode 219 next week.